ahead and get started. Thank you for joining the ARPA subcommittee meeting. The main focus of this meeting is really, before that, let me just welcome Councilor Govan, and some community members, Ms. Gaskew, Miss Bernice Morris, and Councilor Allen is also joining us. Pat Burns, who is the CAFO now, and the comptroller, right, Pat?
Acting.
Acting. Pat said he's not owning that. He's the acting CAFO, and we have Director Chase One, right?
Correct.
All right, and then we have Deputy CAFO Lindsay Hackett joining us today from the finance team, and Counselor Tim Allen just joined us as well. So thank you, everyone. So the purpose of this meeting is really to go over where we are with the individual household and senior applications at this point. I know folks are getting some emails, and we'll get into all that in a minute, but I just want to hear an update from the finance team on the numbers. And then I would also like to know the overall amount we still have that has not been committed in the ARPA balance.
Yes, sure. So happy to finally provide updates beyond we're working on things. So PPL has, for the most part, completed their review of all of the applications. There's still about 200 that they haven't finalized yet. But the remainder of them have been completed, and as you said, award notices continue to go out. Eligibility determinations continue to go out. So those are going out. So again, I'm really happy to move that progress forward. I know you all have been waiting for that, and so have we. So I'm happy to report out on that. As far as specific numbers go, I have some numbers here that I'm happy to share. Any other numbers you're looking for, if I don't have them immediately, I'm happy to get them to you. And then I can pull up the ARPA budget. I didn't have that up, but I know that that's something that you want to talk to, and that won't take me long to pull up, so we can do that too.
All right, thank you. Do you need to share screen or anything?
No, I just have like notes.
All right.
I didn't put like a presentation or anything together.
Okay, so how many household applications were reviewed overall?
PPL reviewed over 16,000. I have the amount that the city awarded. I don't have the total amount we reviewed. I would have to get that for you, but I know that we, the number I want to say is close to 20,000 total.
Okay. And how many were approved by the city?
The city awarded 3,022, so just over 3,000 were awarded by the city.
And PPL?
And PPL has awarded about 5,600.
So almost 56 and like 9,000, a little over 9,000.
Yeah, like 86,000 right now. I mean, I'm sorry, 8,600, sorry.
Yeah, I'm like 86,000. We got more money in. So 8,600 were approved.
Correct.
And how many were declined?
So there are about over 1,200, which were actually duplicates. So those were applicants previously applied.
1,200?
Yes.
Okay.
There were just under 9,000 that didn't meet eligibility requirements. So about 8,800. I'm sorry, 8,900.
And what were some of the eligibility requirements that they didn't meet? You can give us a little.
Yeah, sure. So if they weren't able to provide proof of benefits, if they weren't able to provide a valid driver's license, if they weren't able to provide proof of residency, those were the reasons for not being eligible.
So they had to have a driver's license?
They had to provide a ID, so it didn't have to be a driver's license, but it had to be an ID.
I see you, Counselor Govan. Hold on, let me just get through my questions and then I'll
Yeah,
open.
please.
Yeah. And were all of those, so when you say a current ID, did it have to be a picture ID? Like what had to be on the ID? Like what type of ID was accepted?
State ID.
I don't know that off the top of my head. I'm sure that there's a list of valid identification that was accepted, and I can check that for you. I don't know it off the top of my head. But it just had to be a valid ID, and then obviously you had to be able to provide proof of residence and then the proof of benefits.
So folks that were awarded the $1,400 had to be getting benefits?
Yes. That was how you were able to determine that they were low income, and that is what was part of the eligibility based on the ARPA final rule.
Where are we at in the notification, whether eligible or not eligible?
Yeah, so let me see. They have been sending out batches about 1,000 a week. So I think by this week we'll be up to about 5,000 notifications going out, and they do plan on having everything wrapped up within 2 weeks. So all notifications coming from PPL, they do plan to have out for 2 weeks. And then obviously they'll be leaving their call center open beyond that to be able to assist with anyone calling in.
Okay, and then, so I have gotten some of the ineligible folks and they said that the determination is final. I had one lady send me some emails about, the proof and everything that she sent to them. And it was her benefits and her license and all that. And, I think the license didn't match her address, so she didn't
Oh.
change her license over, so she was deemed ineligible.
Well, as long as I mean, the proof of ID and the proof of residency, I'm not exactly, I don't off the top of my head know exactly what the requirement is for that, but they did take change of address as long as you had proof of the change of address. So I don't believe that the address that they had to match. They just had to be able to prove they lived in Springfield. So, for example, what we had to avoid was people with a Springfield ID, but they live somewhere else. So we had to be able to prove that. So that's why we had to have the second step. Again, this is all based on the requirements that were put out through the Treasury. We had to be able to go beyond just the ID and prove residency within the city. So that's why we had to add the proof of residence.
Okay, and then she also, the denial email said all judgments are final. And so there might be some one-offs that we have to look at because based on what I was saying, it was still a Springfield ID and a Springfield address, but they didn't match. So there might be some that who would we notify? Because she's been calling the PPL back and they're like, well, it's done, we're done, we can't do anything. So what do we do in those instances?
I'm not sure. I don't really have a method for that. I do know that we don't have any more money really. So we're not able to have an appeals process for this program. So beyond PPL being able to provide their eligibility determination, I would have to look into that a little bit more because that's certainly something that I hadn't really thought of a process for developing. So that's something that maybe we'll have to talk to PPL about.
Mm. Yeah, because it looks like that the person was eligible. Just my really quick glance right before this meeting, but I don't know the full story. I don't know if the ID was expired. Like I didn't look that deeply into
That's
it. So
another thing. It has to be, yeah, it has to be
it has to be,
valid.
valid, yeah, active
Correct.
ID. All right, so I'm just gonna open it up to counselors for right now. Counselor Govan.
Thank you, Chairwoman Whitfield. Thank you, Lindsay, for that update. Now, so there are no more applications pending, correct?
So there's about 200 left. And those are specifically, they're deemed duplicate addresses to, I mean, this is a little more in the weeds than probably I should share, but I will. So there's about 234 deemed
Mhm.
duplicate addresses, but we just need to determine whether or not they're actually duplicate, because it might be a situation where it's a housing unit that doesn't have specifically different housing, identifiers.
Right,
And
right,
unfortunately,
okay.
this has really always been kind of my concern with the process, is that very clearly the final rule states that we can only award direct assistance per household, not per
Mhm.
person. So that was always my concern with us handling it, is how are we going to determine households? So PPL, they do this, this is part of what they do. So they were able to do it easily, but there's only about 200 that they just need more information from us. So that's just the final outstanding.
Okay, because I think I have the same issue that Council Whitfield had, where I actually sent you and Tina the email that they sent to me on one person, that they were sent a denial based on they didn't meet the eligibility requirements, but they weren't told what it was. It just listed what it could have been. So I don't know, if it was the ID or benefits or whatever that is. So now, so you said there's no more money. I know that the mayor did announce a few weeks ago, possibly, that he was putting more money into the ARPA household program. So what happened with that money?
Yeah, so that so what that additional $2 million did, and much like we've done for some other of the ARPA programs, that extinguished the need based on the eligible applications. So we were not turning away any full, complete eligible applications that PPL reviewed. Otherwise, we would have had to. So the 10 million, less obviously the amount the city had already awarded, the amount that PPL had available to award, we would have been turning eligible applications away. And he decided to add additional funding rather than do that.
Okay. Now, is there any possibility that there could be more funding for other applications as we go forward?
I don't know. I haven't brought that up.
Especially for some of the ones like Councilor Whitfield and the one that we got today, because on appeal, those applications could be, eligible, and they should probably be getting, the $1,400. So maybe that might be something you might see if we could move forward.
Yeah, that's certainly something we can bring up, and I'll be going, when you're ready, we'll be going over the ARPA budget. There's not a lot left that isn't committed already, but I mean, that's certainly a decision that he can make to do that, because even if when PPL is done with the process, we'll still have all the information from all the applicants available. So
right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Counselor Govan. I see that you are muted, Counselor Allen, but I just wanted to follow up on the final rule. What final rule are you going by? Because I just don't understand the difference between the household payments that were coming from the government, where everybody in the household got something, and then now it's this one that only one person per household can get.
Yeah, and obviously, that's something that we have had to be able to explain with this program. Because like you said, from the federal government, we all got checks. I got one, my husband got one, we lived in the same household, right? I didn't have to fill out an application. I didn't have to submit anything. I didn't have to prove anything. I just got the check. Completely different than this process, which requires an
Mhm.
application, has eligibility requirements, and has different rules than that funding went out under. So July 2022, the Treasury issued the final rule on the ARPA funds. I just got an email today, they're going to be issuing another final rule, which is going to be more specific to different things outside of direct assistance. But anyway, so July 2022, the final rule issuance, things were a little bit different than the interim final rule. So as you know, we've talked about before, we've had to make adjustments in certain areas, but for the most part, the program and the intent stayed the same. And that's what we're following right now. Completely different than any rules followed by the federal government when they sent stimulus checks to each and every one of us.
Yeah, I've been asking for that section of the final rule for a
Oh,
long
sure.
time now, and no one's gotten it to me because I just
Oh,
want.
I'm happy to send you the information. Every time I pull it up on the internet, it goes directly to the spot because I look at it so often. But yeah, I'm happy to send you that. I mean, it's hundreds of pages long, but specific to direct assistance is a section.
Alrighty. And Bernice, I see your hand, but before that, I want to make sure all the counselors and anyone in the administration, because Shay, I did see that you updated at one point, had any comments or anything to ask or say.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Tim.
thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Madam Chair. I have trouble with my mute button here, so I finally figured it out. But I'm just wondering, on the overall thing, you said something about a couple of weeks. What happens in a couple of weeks? Or is this PPL group being shut down at some point? Are we having a final budget meeting, summary kind of thing of the program? All that sort of thing. Is there what is the couple of weeks you were referring to?
No, the couple weeks I was referring to was PPL expects to have all documentation surrounding eligibility determinations out.
So what does that mean to relative to individual situations like Tracy and Zeta have been talking about? Will there be a resolution on them at that time, or?
Well, unless we open an appeals process and there's more money allocated to the program, that would be a completely different discussion, but there's no, I don't have a plan for anything like that right now.
So the decisions that have been made are pretty much final.
Yes.
Okay. And is there a date besides the PPL thing in a couple of weeks? Is there a date when the program expires? Or, I mean, I know the money was going to be out there to the end of 24 or something, if you had money.
Yeah. So we stopped. So this program technically closed January 15th, 2023. That's the last day that we accepted applications for this program.
Yeah. I remember
yeah,
that. So these are
so the reviews. Sorry, go ahead, Counselor.
It's 11. Yeah, it's been 11 months. So this is the end of the processing of those applications.
That's correct. So like I said, their timeline is to have all eligibility determination communications out within 2 weeks. I think that they plan on even having it done really before that. As far as when we are done with PPL, their contract with us is through March of 2024. Once that's done, we will still have to, there's going to be, people aren't going to activate their cards, some of them. They have 90 days to activate their cards. So there will be kind of a process that eventually, and I don't know when that's going to be, we are going to have to be reconciling with PPL and getting any unspent funds back to the city. So I'm not sure what that timeline is, but you know, our contract with them goes at least through the end of March. And really anything beyond kind of this eligibility determination and the awards, I don't have planned out right now. But I do plan on making that process as smooth as possible
Okay,
after this.
great. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Chair, I just wanted to give you an opportunity because you had unmuted at one point, and I just wanted to.
Oh, no, I was just going to piggyback on Lindsay, basically saying that if the ID is expired, if the benefits are expired, then it will be rejected. So even if they send in benefits, some people have had COVID benefits that expired after COVID and they're not applicable, right? So just those situations might trip people up saying, I sent in the benefits, but the benefits might have expired. I sent in the ID, but the ID might be expired. That's all.
Alrighty. And Counselor Govan?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit confused because I think I remember if when the announcements for the ARPA households came out, they were told that if you live in the designated area, that you would be eligible to receive funds. It didn't talk anything about needing to be receiving benefits if you lived in that. I forgot what it was called.
QCT, qualified census tract, correct.
Thank you.
However,
Yes.
that was supplanted in lieu of, because there are plenty of people who live in QCTs that are way out of the income range required for the check.
So then what I understand now is that there was a change somewhere in between there where as opposed to just being able to live in the qualified census tract, now you had to meet some income eligibility requirements.
Well, that was the case to begin with because the income eligibility requirements were the QCT. However, you have plenty of people who live in QCTs that aren't eligible. So
No, I understand that.
correct. Well,
But that wasn't made clear in the beginning.
gotcha.
Yeah, that was a change made when we did the new combined application. And that's why the new combined application stated that the requirement was proof of benefits. So that was
I see.
made very
Okay,
far
so
in the beginning, and there were very many applications that before that change was made.
okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Lindsay and Shay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bernice?
Good afternoon. My name is Bernice Morris. I was just wondering, I have not received my $1,400. It was an error in y'all office. Y'all said my license had expired when my license was still good up to 3 days before it was supposed to expire. And I still have not received my $1,400, and it's been since August of 22. And I was just would like to know, why did y'all change from checks to the cards? Because now with the cards, they charging $3.50 to cash it, to take money off. So I was just wondering, why did y'all switch over? Even though I didn't receive mine yet, but I just want to know. Thank you.
Is that a question directed to me?
Anyone?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So we really had no choice to go out to a third-party vendor to manage this program. Obviously, we weren't making strides towards any kind of completion of the program as it was in our office. The third-party vendor that we chose, which was PPL, they were the ones who determined to do a debit card, and they outsourced to Money Network to supply the debit card. I did double check because actually Councilor Whitfield did have that question about the 350. And there is a list of free ATMs that they provide with the debit card. But that has to do with Money Network and their card, but there is a list and there's dozens and dozens in the city of Springfield alone, where there is no fee for using the ATM with that card. There shouldn't be any fee to use it as a debit card. I haven't heard that
I
at all.
was gonna ask that, yeah.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any.
That's what I was gonna ask, Lindsay.
Yeah, okay. There's no fee. I haven't heard of any fee, and I don't even know that would be.
It's not a fee for the debit card.
Yeah, it's just the
draw
ATM.
the cash. Yeah, the ATM.
Yep.
Draw
So
the
there's a
cash.
list. They have a website. It shows the list of everything. And the majority of them, when I was looking at the list, they're in like Walgreens, CVS. They're those kind of like ones that usually charge you $5 are the ones that essentially are free. There's one in a package store, 7-Eleven package store, I think it has free ATM. I'm happy to share that website with you, Councilor Whitfield, if you want that, or Councilor Govan, anyone. But that is provided in the debit card when it goes out.
Sure, please share that
Okay.
with us in case we get those questions.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Let's research it. Pernice Morris, I helped her. Oh gosh, it had to be like before it went to PPL. She was
Mhm.
having this problem. She brought her license to City Hall, spoke with the rep. They sent her a message back then saying she was approved, whoever the case manager was back then. I mean, it's been so long. It was before PPL was involved. So it's kind of concerning that she still has not gotten her payment yet.
Mm,
Like I don't understand that at all. It was like, okay, you're approved. The same thing happened with my mom, right? It was like you're approved. We just don't know when the funds will be dispersed.
Mhm.
And then it was just like silence and it went to PPL and it
Mm.
felt like they kind of got caught up in whatever was happening at PPL. And I know for my mom, it was like wrong email, wrong stuff, kind of like figured that out and got her card redistributed. But like I'm pretty sure there was others that were approved before PPL got involved. And that's just like, why hasn't she gotten even a communication yet? Have you gotten a communication yet?
Well, when I called yesterday, I talked to Ashley, and first she couldn't tell me anything about the meeting for today, and then she did tell me that I should be hearing something the end of this month, but she couldn't tell me whether or not if I'm eligible for a check or not, or if I'm gonna receive a check. She said I should just be hearing something for the end of this month.
So why, I mean, if folks are calling, because when I called, they tried to say that to me and I'm like, hold up, I'm a city councilor. Sometimes you got to pull that card and we need to be able to communicate more effectively with our constituents. And then all of a sudden she could give me the information. So, well, nope, I had to get the party on, which actually was my mom at the time as the person whose name it was in. And then she was able to tell the information. She went right into a screen and said, oh yeah, she was approved, but and the card was sent on this date, and let me just confirm the information we had on our file. So we realized the email was wrong. One of the digits was off in the mailing address, corrected all that, and probably within like 10 business days, my mom had the card. So they have this data and you're talking to the person. Why aren't they able to just tell the status? Because once they don't tell them the status, they're calling us.
Yeah. Well, so PPL, so part of the reason that initially it was the hope that this was going to be a rolling basis. And as applications were approved, awards would go out. As applications eligibility wasn't met, denials would go out, and it would be a rolling process. The process ended up changing to nothing was happening until all of the applications were reviewed. So until PPL was able to review all of the applications, they were not comfortable. I shouldn't say they were not comfortable. They were not giving information out over the phone. And it was just continually, applications are still being reviewed, blah, blah, blah. it ended up working out kind of in our favor because when we added the additional money to their contract for awards, they also did a second review of ineligible applications. So they looked at them twice. So I also know that they do need the person on the phone before they give any information out. So I know that that's something that they do. As of right now, and I don't know specifics on specific people in Miss Morris, I'm happy to reach out to PPL on my own and get specific information about your status. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to give a status because they have the information. I'll confirm with them if there's any information that they're still, again, outside of those 234, I do believe that they have the statuses. Now, this is new, not to say 2 weeks ago they were doing this. I mean, this is pretty much like new. Okay, we have all the information we need. And like I said, I mean, the letters are going out, the awards are going out. So I can't imagine there's too many people left that they still don't necessarily have the information on.
A couple of things would be helpful though. If they change their protocol, we shouldn't be made aware of it because that's not what we are told. And like I said, immediately when they don't get a response, they call in the most people that's been at the forefront of what's going on. Me, Councilor Govan, Councilor Hirsch, we're getting these calls. It's almost on a daily basis because folks really need the funds. Holiday time, you know, folks want to do stuff for their family with their family, and like we don't know the process. I don't think that's fair to us, as we have to deal with some of these folks, you know. Councilor Govan, I wanted to ask Ms. Gaskew if she had something to say because I seen the hand thing go up, but it might have been like a clap or something. And Gaskew, did you have something to say? No.
She's muted.
Oh.
Tracy,
Yes.
I don't have anything much to say. I just wanted to know, how long is this process? I've received a letter like the beginning of this year, maybe saying that the application was received. I went down to City Hall and they told me I was at the bottom of the barrel, and I haven't heard anything since that.
I think you will get an email, and can you put that? Do you know that email, Councilor Govan, that folks are getting the email from? And I know that for some people it's been going to their spam. But it's an email that'll tell you if you're eligible or not. And if you don't know to look in your spam or anything, you're not gonna know that is there. And it comes from an email that you wouldn't traditionally think it would come from. It's not like a City Hall email. And it's not even like the name isn't even PPL, I don't think. It's something totally completely different. And I could get you that information.
Stacey, excuse me, Tracy, but I don't have an email, so.
Oh, you don't have an email. So what happens in those instances? They get a letter?
Yes.
They did send me a letter at once.
Okay. Well,
so if they don't have an email on record, they send it to the letter, to the address of record.
Can you ask Mickey Mouse shirt lady to put your phone number in the chat and I'll give you a call.
I certainly will ask her to do that, Tracy.
All right. Put that in the chat. I'll give you a call. We'll call together, okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome. Councilor Govan?
Am I muted? Can you hear me? So this is part of what my concern is. Like Ms. Morris, she said that she received a letter, she was approved. And then 6 months, 9 months later, she's being told that her ID expired. But, you know, at the beginning of January, she was approved because she had everything that she had done. And I think this happened a lot. I remember someone, it was another part of the ARPA project, not the household, but, you know, a small business was initially eligible, but then as time went on, they became ineligible because of some you know, some changes that they had made. So this is a really big issue because I think some of our household applicants may be going through the same thing, right? They had a valid ID, they had all their documents in, and because time went on, and then because PPL took over, a whole new system had to be put in place. And it's really doing a disservice to our constituents because, like Council Whitfield, I get calls all the time about this program, like the email that I got yesterday that I forwarded to you and Tina, Lindsay. So I don't know if there's something that we can, you know, urge the mayor to do about it, because these applicants have been waiting for a very long time. I think 2022 is when they started applying, and now it's almost 2024. We have to find a way to be able to, you know, to do them right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
Ms. Chairman.
and Counselor, the communication that went out from PPL initially wasn't an approval. It was just saying that we have your application and it's for review. The city sent no approval letters when we were doing the process. If you were approved, you got a check. So your communication from the city was the award with a letter included in the envelope. So there wouldn't be a reason that we would have said someone was approved or notified, a communication went out to them, they were approved, and then something changed. So if that's a situation, then that definitely needs to be addressed. But the letters that went out initially from PPL that I believe Ms. Gaskew was talking about was saying that, you know, we have your information, we have your application, we'll be reviewing them, and, you know, here's our information if you need to contact us.
So
for
Ms.
whatever reason.
Ms. Pernice is the one that said that she got a letter saying that she was approved and she was set and she was waiting, but nothing had happened. Then PPL took over and then had to be reviewed all over again.
Yeah,
So
but I don't know what
those are the
letter
kind
that
of
is.
things.
Yeah,
No,
sure,
she
but
didn't get a letter. She got an email and I still have it. So it wasn't a letter, but the case manager that worked in finance sent her an email. I was CC'd and it said that she was approved, same one my mother got. And that was before PPL. And
Mhm.
so after that, I reached out to that case manager and I said, well, how long will it be before their payment is distributed? And she said she doesn't have a date on when the payment will be distributed. So she couldn't give me that information. And from there, PPL took over, and then it was like radio silence. And so I don't know how
Right.
many folks got emails like that from finance case managers before PPL took over, but it was that whole transition process that if folks got communicated that they were already approved, they should have been excluded from even being transferred over to the PPL process because
they
Right.
were. So that's, so
I
if
don't know what happened to my mother, and I don't, because I still got the email that my mother was approved. So
So
I
if
don't know
we
what happened.
awarded, if we awarded an applicant, if the city awarded an applicant, PPL got notification that this person was awarded and they didn't even have an application to review. So
So where was the disconnect with getting their cards out or payments out, like kind of immediately?
but it was
Right.
one and the same. So the award notification was in the same letter as the check was sent when they were being sent from the city.
No, it wasn't a letter. It was an email from the case finance person. It was a finance person. That's I'm gonna forward it to you so you can see, because
Okay.
maybe I'm not explaining it effectively, but it was an email saying we got everything we need. Your case has been reviewed and it's approved. And then I went back and said, so when will the check be dispersed? And that same finance analyst would come back and say, we don't know when the checks are scheduled to go out. And then we got a whole notification that PPL was taken over. From there was like no notifications at all.
Okay.
So,
Right.
So
except
what I'm talking about
another
specifically,
notification, I'm gonna say we got an email or a letter.
Communication from, okay.
PPL is taking over the process.
Okay, so it sounds like, so we were talking about two different things. So I was talking about the award letter saying that you're approved, because PPL is sending notification you're eligible, and then obviously Money Network sends the debit card. So those are two separate communications, but the city didn't have that. Our award and the disbursement was included in the same. But it sounds like you're talking about an email that you were speaking to someone on the ARPA team at the time, and they were updating you on the
status.
Sounds like the status of the application. So if you want to send me that,
Yeah.
I'll try to follow that. And your mom's all set now, right?
Yeah, she's all set.
Okay, okay.
You
So
got it.
yeah, if you want to send me what you have for Miss Morris, I'm happy to kind of follow the timeline of what happened there. I can't speak to it. I don't know the situation.
I mean, those two are so clear in my mind because they were like really rude to her when she went to the finance office. They were saying, don't come upstairs. And she was just trying to explain and show them that when they declined her, her license was still valid. It expired 3 days after it was already it was declined. So it was just like a whole confusion.
Okay.
So these two are very in my mind, but I will definitely find that and send it. Ms. Gasky, you unmuted.
Yes, Tracy, I have two questions. The first one, I wasn't sure. I understood what you said when you said you have to have benefits to receive. No, it wasn't you that said it, was the other counselor. Have to have benefits to receive this check?
Yeah, but if you have Medicaid, right, Medicare, one of them, Medicaid, Medicare, that type, those benefits also count.
Oh, but it doesn't mean you have to have food stamps or.
No, you could have Medicaid, Medicare. It was like a list
Yeah,
of.
there's a list.
Well, I'm
If
old.
not, you could have,
I'm
if
old.
you have a small child, you could have WIC,
Unemployment.
employment, just different things like that.
So was that on the application when it first came out? Did they say that you had to receive these things when you fill out this application?
It was, I remember it. It was a list of things.
That it said you had to have these benefits in order to fill this application out? Because I swear I just heard her say they changed it and you had to have benefits after.
I
They
remember.
did.
Yeah,
changed-
there was a
Initially,
list.
the first time when the announcement came out for the ARPA, all they said, like Shay said, was that you had to live in a qualified census tract.
Yeah.
If you lived in a qualified census tract, you were eligible to apply. It didn't say anything about income
Not true,
requirement.
because-
I think that changed
No,
after.
that didn't change. That never changed because Counselor Hurst and I was working with Tom Moore when he was doing the application. We were training. We had, before you had yours, we had ours. And I remember Tom Moore was there and we had people sit down at the table and it always had the list, and it said, if you don't qualify, if you don't have these type of benefits, you could qualify by the qualified census tract.
Yeah.
That's what it said from the beginning, from the
Right.
gate. Because I
So
was
that's
on,
the same thing. That's what I said. If you don't have the benefits, if you live in
well,
a
you said it
qualified
never,
census
you
tract,
said it
then you're
never had,
eligible.
you said it never had the benefits part, but it always did from the beginning.
Yeah, but you didn't need to have benefits to
Right.
apply.
It did say that. It
No,
said, if-
anyone could apply. Yeah.
yeah, it said,
Right.
and that's what
That's
we were
how
telling
come.
folks, like, if you don't have these benefits, but you are in a qualified, because that's what we were told. If you don't have these
Mhm.
benefits, but you live in a qualified census tract, you could still be eligible. That's what
Yeah.
we,
Right.
and I don't know when that changed, and I never was aware that changed, but that is what
Right. Mhm.
And that's not fair to the applicants that they just went and changed it.
that really isn't, because I, like, to this day, I was still saying it, because I was like, people were like, oh, I don't have any of those benefits. I'm not gonna apply because I don't have any of those benefits, and we never get it. And I was like, well, still apply, because if you don't have those benefits and you live in a qualified census tract area, you would still qualify. That was clearly in the application. I still got the application, so I'll just,
Yep, it was.
I got the applications from the beginning. I don't even know when the applications changed, because we were even asked to review the applications before the applications went out. So it definitely said
Mhm.
that. It didn't say you gotta have these benefits. And I don't know if that changed with the final rule from the Treasury or whatever, but,
Mm-hmm.
they're absolutely right with that.
Yep.
Okay, Tracy, my other question was, how do I find out if my application was approved?
Me and you are gonna call. Can you give me your number, Ms. Gaskew?
Yes, 413-734-3967.
734.
She don't answer that phone, Tracy. Don't write that number down, Tracy. She don't answer that phone.
Okay.
413
Okay.
413 426 1217.
426-1217.
Yes.
Now I gotta go get some toys for the kid drive. But
Mhm.
as soon as I have a free moment, I will call you all and we will call together. And because they
Okay.
won't give me the information, so you have to be on the line. So as soon as I
Okay,
do that,
all
but
right, thank you so much.
so Lindsay, I'm not really sure when that changed,
Informative-
that you
Very
had to
informative meeting.
get that benefit,
Thank you.
Yeah.
but it clearly changed at some point.
Mm-hmm. It did.
And I
Thank
don't
you.
know if we can find out when that changed.
Yeah, from my understanding, the new application, we were no longer accepting the old applications. The new application stated that the benefits were required.
Okay, all right.
Lindsay,
Thank
I'm
you.
looking at the email where it showed that your office had put my application on hold because they said my license had expired when
Sure,
my
you
license.
can forward, yeah, you can forward whatever you have.
Okay.
Yeah, you can forward it to me.
Do you have that email when the person said that you were approved? Do you have that one?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. Well, whatever you have, just send it to Lindsay. And I'll look too. I have a free moment.
And Lindsay, if you could please respond to the email that I sent you, and Tina, I wasn't sure which one I should send it to regarding that one individual that reached out. That would be great.
Yes, Counselor, I haven't looked at that yet, but I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
And we only got a few more minutes, so I did want to just like pivot and go to the balance of what's left in the ARPA fund. And also, I know that the funds have to be expended for the other programs, at least committed by 2024, the end of next year. Does that mean when we say committed, is it considered committed on the Treasury's standpoint that we committed it to different pockets, different buckets? Does that still qualify? Or does it have to be committed to like
A contract.
a contract?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. I don't know what they specifically would consider committed. And I think that that's worth looking into. And it's something that Tim Sheehan may know. But I personally don't know because I don't have any programs that are going to be lasting that long. But I can
No, you're
definitely
happy about that.
That's another conversation for a different day. But yeah, I think that that's for my own information. I would like to know that too. And I don't know that. So I can try to find that out for you.
Because the only reason I asked is because like if we get to a certain amount, like half of next year and all those funds are not committed, maybe we can look at maybe some of these applications that qualify via the qualified census tract, but not benefits, and maybe try to make them whole. Because I remember telling so many people, they're like, oh, I'm not gonna qualify, especially some elderly folks that was getting like maybe a little bit over the threshold that they couldn't qualify for benefits because they get pensions and things like that. And so they didn't qualify for benefits, but they still like struggling. And I remember telling them, don't worry about that. As long as you have the qualified census tract thing, you could be able to apply anyway. And now,
Okay.
and I'm sorry, I missed that in this meeting that's not true anymore. So, and I will look for the applications too, because I know I kept them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsay, did you get the email? Because I'm not sure if I did it right.
I will have to check that for you. Counselor, did you want me to pull up the budget or?
Yeah, I want to see the budget.
Okay.
So Bernice, we'll work on that after because we only got a couple more minutes. and, I really wanna see what's in the budget.
Okay, turn onto Park Street. So this is the chart that you've seen multiple times. Let me just make sure I can share my screen. Okay. So this is the chart, like I said, that you've seen multiple times. It has been updated to include the additional $2 million in direct household assistance. The $750,000, you've already been made aware of that. Trying to think if there was anything new that's been added. No, I don't think so. I think this is the same probably, Counselor, that I sent you the last time I sent it to you.
So about 2,800,000 left.
Yes.
Okay. Any plans for that you know of, Pat or Lindsay?
Nope, not that I know of.
And did this also exclude, yep, I see it, at higher education. Okay, I see it right there.
Yes.
Sorry, guys, it's small to my eyes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can increase it. Sorry.
Just trying to see it.
Continue straight.
Okay. Well, I think it'd be worth looking into, Lindsay, that committed
Yeah,
question.
definitely. I agree.
I think that it will also, be honorable of us to look into, if we get to a point where this doesn't qualify as committed, that we look to honor those that live in a qualified census tract, because that was definitely, told early on. And I was telling people that, and I don't want to look like I'm not telling the truth.
And if I may, Counselor, I think, opening up an appeal process, if possible, for the people who maybe like, Miss Pernice, that, maybe had the ID expire after the applications had already been processed. That might be helpful if we could put more money into the this household bucket.
So we got like 3 minutes left, so I'm gonna go ahead and if there's no more comments, I'm gonna go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you, Lynn.